That down. All right, all right, all right.
Did you send out the link so people can watch the stuff live?
Oh yeah, it's on Twitch. I can make this
About the YouTube and Twitter. I like the engagement.
public. Okay. Well, we live, and then we're gonna send it out. I ain't send it out, but I'll tweet it out while we get ready to get started. Brothers, how y'all feeling today?
I'm gravy.
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. In case you haven't noticed, hold on, let me move the mic out the way.
Ooh, too
Well,
sweet.
Let's get into it.
The boys are back.
Come on.
Houston, we have a problem. Yes!
What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast.
Right now.
It's yours. Oh, brother Hugh in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How y'all doing today?
Usually, you wait for me to.
What's
don't
cracking,
care.
brother?
I do what we want.
Just cut him off. That's
Yeah,
that's the
right.
vibe, Hugh. That's what it's supposed to be, Hugh. You do what you want.
Right, man. Come on now.
That's supposed to be with everybody else, but whatever. This what we doing here tonight? Okay, let's go.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead since you introduced
No,
it.
good,
You
good,
go ahead.
good,
No,
good.
you
Go
want the
ahead.
big host chair. You go
You
ahead,
was
take it,
crying
brother.
about it. You was crying about it.
He was crying about it though.
Big crying. Y'all
Ain't
see the
nobody
tears?
crying.
What's that on your
Ain't-
cheek?
I see something on his cheek too, Hugh. It's just gaslighting all the way through.
Oh man.
See, brother, realness up here. He got the Bullet Club shirt on. He feeling real good. He feeling
I'm feeling real.
spicy.
I'm feeling real rebellious right now. If you
Real
don't see, if
rebellious.
you're not catching the vibe of my shirt right now,
There it is.
that's what I'm feeling right now. That's what it is.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm assuming y'all had a good week.
I would say so. God is good. I always have a good week.
Amen. That's the
Maybe.
best outlook to have.
Made an appearance on the Flex Zone
Shout
With
out
the
to the
old-
Flex Zone.
with the old brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shout out to them. That was fun. We got to talk a little bit of John Cena.
Yeah, we got to discuss celebrate John Cena's 20th anniversary in WWE on this past Monday. So yeah, that was fun. You know, and then we got a loaded show tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a
Brother-
lot to get into, brothers.
Brother Hugh, you went
Yes.
traveling.
I?
Last week we gave a shout out to the Nighthawks.
Yeah.
How'd it
you-
go?
What you mean? How'd it go?
How'd it go?
He's
Did they win?
Nah, man. They caught the L, but hey, it was a great season. They won their first playoff game in history, 2 weeks prior to that. So it was a very successful season for them. Proud of the ladies. It was a crazy trip though. Spent about 7 hours at a truck stop in West Virginia.
Oh no, I'm scared to ask.
West Virginia.
Ugh.
West Virginia.
Hey, it was fun though. It was fun. Yeah, the tires blew out.
Oh
and
no!
it was
Like,
a
what are the
long
chances
day, bro.
of that?
It was a long day.
Yeah, your
But,
Crocs
hey,
on, bro.
Of course. No, actually, that was a Friday, so I'm lying to you. I had my pink
Ewans.
Patrick Ewans
The
on.
Ewans on,
Yeah,
yep.
you know. Yep. Then I threw the Crocs on later.
You shot in the Crocs.
Yes, I did. I have to be comfortable, man. I got to be able to float when I'm out there.
Hey,
Float like a butterfly, sting like
Yes,
a bee.
sir. Yes, sir.
Oh boy. I guess let's
What's wrong, Brian?
He can't get himself together.
Brian got the giggles today.
Bro,
Look at his
All right,
cheekbones.
all right.
His cheekbones hurt. Look at him.
bro. Chill.
Brian, they can't put his face down. Like his Look, he's got sound effects and everything.
All right. So y'all right here, y'all fans out there, thanks for tuning in. You know, jump on our Patreon. Y'all think we acting a fool here? Just imagine what we do when it comes to exclusive and bonus material. Just go to patreon.com/wrestling_realm. I just dropped my immediate reactions to AEW. I was up till 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, we know.
We'll talk about it later, but that Orange Cassidy match, I can't believe I just said that.
Orange Cassidy, an apology.
Yeah.
That was the one match I was like, this is the best you guys can do. And I was like, whoa, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll definitely hit on that. But yeah, make sure y'all go there. Dwayne, you had Twitter going this week.
Did I? Was that me?
Yeah, you talked about the BWF vlog that's coming.
Yes, indeed. For those who weren't there, prepare yourselves because I began to start working on the first annual Black WrestleFest 2022 vlog.
Mm-hmm.
One of our maybe one or two vlogs that we've already done on the channel, but it's definitely coming. Had some technical difficulties this week and last week, but like I said, I think we're back on track. But I'll be working on that so we can give fans an insight of what kind of went down at Black WrestleFest this year and what our involvement was and what we did and just how much of a good time we had. So I think it's something that a lot of people should experience if they can. And then if they missed out on the first one, trust me, I'm sure we'll be definitely doing this again. But yeah, the Black WrestleFest vlog is coming soon to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. Also want to give a shout out to our book giveaway winners. I mentioned last week that we had I had Brian Solomon on the show, so y'all can check that out. Shout out to our good friend Sean, we call him Shark Williams, him and Dr. D. So I actually saw Dr. D. I got to hand him his book at Jimmy's this past Sunday. You know, it was always a good time. Shout out to Dr. D. I was with him, Corey. Yeah, definitely.
Who are heavily featured in our Black WrestleFest vlog, by the way.
Yeah, so I know that's gonna be good. And saw Brother Fam and of course Brother Raj. Oh, we call him Unk from the Flex Zone. You know,
Raj.
He didn't even get the big steak this time. He got like a medium.
I was about to ask.
Crazy part is when I saw the Facebook post, I couldn't even tell. I just said, "Man, that looks absolutely delicious."
Mm-hmm.
That's it, man. Jimmy Seafood. It's been too long for me personally. I gotta get back. Like it's right in our backyard.
It is.
Yeah, so yeah, so can't wait till
Brian can't get himself together today. He's not.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't think he's gonna make it. I partially blame due to my rebellious
Let me tell y'all,
ladies and gentlemen, because of this shirt that I
have.
Brother,
look. See, last week I had on the 2X, you know, but the new one came in. As you can see, it's look at the red. It's fresh.
What's that little thing?
It's fresh.
What's that right there? It's a little loaded. You got like one little pellet in there.
That's muscle. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like the realness. I'm trying to be like Brother Hugh. You know, they in good shape. You know, I ain't gonna sit up here and be burying me because I got high cholesterol and a heart attack. I be in the gym. I was going, and then Brother Hugh was pushing me. I was like, yo, I don't lift that much. Ever since then,
I can verify because I get like we're like what do you call like watch buddies on the Apple Watches. So
watch buddies.
like I don't know the technical term. I just know like we're like workout buddies on the watches. And I was like I get a buzz. I'm like, dang, he's not joking around. God dang, I'll be looking at mine like
early in the morning.
My stuff and hit the it's by 11:30. Brian Easton burnt like 1,000, 1,200 calories, like, and that's just like on the watch. So like in real time, that's almost like probably double, like almost like 6,000, 7,000 calories. I'm like, what is he doing?
Man.
Like, what is he doing? But hey, man, I'm proud of you, brother. I'm glad you're getting yourself together and trying.
No, you see, because this is what y'all don't know. Like the realness was, hey, all right, brother, live fast food.
I will
live fast food. You had a lot of Pepsis. You had a lot of Pepsis. You know, I
definitely yeah.
I'm not downgraded. Ain't around, but I didn't downgrade the diet. That's over there. I tossed the bottle.
I'm not the friend you want to have. I'm not the friend you want to have if you want somebody to tell you not to tell you the truth. Because it's on many cases I'd have said things to Brian.
Hell no.
It's so many days I have said things to Brian, and I'm like, nobody else is even going to like even let me say these things to them. And I don't talk crazy to him, but I'm honest with the brother, and that's everybody can't handle that. I'm like, come on, man, you too young for that. What are you doing? Like, you don't got to wear that sweater. Like, god dang, you 30. I remember one time I saw a picture of Brian. We was at church. This is like a roast of Brian each right now, and I was like, come on, brother.
This what we doing tonight,
bro? I was like, I saw the picture. He was just like, and I was like, bro, listen to me. I appreciate you dressing nice. But come on, man, you ain't that old. But like that's the brotherhood. We can say stuff like that to each other. He not be pissy about it, have an attitude. He was just like, what you mean? I was like, look, man, all I'm saying is we both too young to be looking a certain type of way. I'm not saying it's you. I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying we both too young to be looking a certain type of way. And you happen to be wearing that sweater. So, bro, hey, look, and my face pops up as he goes off the screen.
He don't want to hack the account. Oh man,
I'm sorry.
I ain't even finished the announcements.
My fault. Go ahead, yo. It's the Bullet Club shirt. I promise you. I swear, it's this T-shirt. I was chilling until I put the shirt on, bro.
Yo, all right. So, all right. So, staying on the YouTube channel this Friday at midnight, I'm dropping my interview with the one and only Miss Suzette Victoria. She is the promoter of Hit Club Pro, and we celebrate. We got a black woman who is a wrestling promoter. So stay tuned because I'm going to personally buy a couple tickets and give them away right here on Wrestling Wrealm. Support the show. It's only $10. So go ahead. If you're in the Greensboro, North Carolina area on July 29th, they will have a show. So you're going to get Trisha Dora versus AC Mack. So, and La Rosa De Negra versus Savannah Evans. So that's couple matches. Why are y'all laughing?
Did you say Greensboro?
I said Greensboro. Oh, fellas. I mean, I'm gonna be in Nashville, but y'all can welcome. Go rep the realm.
It's gonna be one of those nights I can see it.
Right.
You said Greensboro. I'm like,
Greensboro.
Should I say what I was gonna say? Nah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Nope. I'm gonna stay focused because I done already got us distracted off what we were doing. I'm gonna watch my Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match on NXT Rival, and I'm just.
Well, I'm gonna sit here and look at Clash of the Champions 28. Yeah. Matter of fact, here comes the immortal one himself with Jimmy Hart. So
I should have never said anything.
Yep. Well, let me tell you something. But anyway, he got and he's wearing a big gold. Yeah, y'all some Hogan haters. But
I got a beef with Hogan. I just like Hollywood Hogan.
Oh, this one they attacked his knee. This the episode. This the episode I was talking about before the show. But anyway,
why is he so hype? Like,
you know why?
It's not that serious.
It's
Hogan. So we was actually in a.
It's the.
We're gonna take it back. Season 2, we was actually gonna plan a show about it, but then we had other things we had to take care of. Season 3, and then
was it season 2?
Season 2 was when we talked about it. We was gonna do the Hulk Hogan tribute show.
Season 3 got completely derailed. We were trying to graduate college. That was rough.
Know.
Those last was that last 4 years? It's that whole semester.
It was that semester because that's when you was interning, and then I was interning at the Better
Business
yours
earlier. You did yours earlier, and then you got a second one. Yeah, that was trying to graduate late. That was that was a.
We had fun though. Shout out to Mr. Wickham and Mr. John White. God rest his soul.
Yes,
shout out to them.
True OGs in the game, like true pioneers in black media.
And even they would be like, "Oh yeah, y'all do that little wrestling stuff." But I actually put it as the kids would say a coloring word in the hashtag. I put hashtag you little wrestler, and the first lady was like, "So Brian, what does that mean?" I was like, I knew somebody was gonna say something, so I explained to her the purpose. She was like, and so then the pastor was like, "Yeah, she be interested in all the stuff you was doing. You had Black Wrestle Fest and like big deal." I said, "Oh, it was." I said, "Shout out to my brothers. We had a ball of it."
He almost got in trouble at church. That's why I'm not. See, I don't participate in none of his tweets. You're not getting me in trouble with the first lady in the church. That's dead. Excuse me.
No, she cool. She wouldn't.
I'm not trying to hit none of that, bro. No, sir. I just want to go on the record and say I personally don't use that kind of language on social
That's why
media.
I was on my Instagram, not yours.
Related to Brian H. You see him on the mic, like I'm making a personal statement. Got in trouble with the first lady. Like, what? That's what we doing now?
Yeah, but So that's coming up. Also, yeah, go to the after this, y'all make sure y'all check us out on the Flex Zone. Shout out to them. You know, and then last but certainly not least, next weekend I will be at Blurred Con on the 7th and the 8th. I'm doing both days this year.
I thought it
Oh,
was the 8th
really?
and 9th. I thought it was the 8th and
Yep.
9th.
Oh, I said 7 because I'm seeing 7.
Yeah,
The 8th and the 9th.
it's wrong. It's the 8th and 9th.
You could have just been a good brother and been
No,
like,
that's cool.
I got
That's
you,
cool.
but you had to let me
No,
know.
no. After what you did to me last week, no.
What I do?
You know what you did.
What I do?
Oh yeah, how you doing? You know, we at the Wrestling Wrealm. How y'all feeling today? And I'm going in, boom, boom, boom. All right, okay. Just drop the intro, okay?
Oh yeah, you definitely cut him off, bro. You definitely cut him off. I was like, did he mean to do that? He came back laughing. I said, oh yeah, he did that on purpose.
Mhm. That's cool.
Man, look. See
So-
what had
so-
happened was
7th, 8th, 9th. So it's 8th and
no
9th.
8th and 9th. The 8th and
Okay.
9th will be at BlurCon. Well, I'll be at BlurCon on Dr. D's showcase. Shout out to Dr. D again.
Dr. D's Wrestling Showcase and OG in the game.
I'll just say this. We got some special guests that's some friends of the program that's been right here in the Wrestling Realm that's coming. I don't know. We ain't put it out public yet. But I'll put it like this. It's 2 ladies who are family members of mine in the business.
Oh, that should be a good one.
Mhm.
I have an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, 2 of them. So 2, yeah.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting.
Mhm.
And yeah. So, all right, y'all know what the part is. Did I miss anything? I think I got everything.
Yeah,
I
you didn't
got
advertise our t-shirts or anything.
I
should've
see.
been.
That's why you
You
know.
didn't tell nobody
I
to
mean,
subscribe to our channel or nothing.
so
Maybe
for the
something.
people who can't see it right there in their screens, for the people who are listening, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. I told y'all about Patreon. Make sure y'all do that, and make sure y'all check out the shirts. Like I said, I just bought a new shirt, Wrestling Realm. So I had to buy me a new one. Y'all can buy one. Y'all can get the Proud Wrestling Fan shirt that we wore at. Well, yeah, one of us wore it at.
That's
Black
in
Wrestle
popular
Fest.
demand. That's in popular demand,
It
right
definitely
there.
is. We even still got the anniversary shirt available. So
Yep.
that's up there, the DX style shirt. So make sure y'all check that out. Shout out to everybody who's purchased the t-shirt. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see, it's humbling when you see people wearing your merch in different places on their live streams, on their just walking around, or even in the gym,
Big time.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so shout out to everybody who did that. And make sure, like Rona says, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of stuff on there. Those gonna be updated soon because we're gonna be getting back in the studio soon. But we gotta that's not even on there. We definitely got a Money in the Bank episode. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna rerun that joint. Well, you can go in there and watch, but we're gonna put some social clips out there since Money in the Bank is this weekend. What's always interesting about because I go back and watch like a lot of our old stuff, and sometimes I'll be like, man, if we do the show today, how would that change or how would it look? You know what I mean? Especially season 1. Goodness gracious.
I mean, I think at one point that was the original plan. At some point to do like go back and do like a retrospective and go back and revisit some of the earlier shows that we did and kind of update them. But I think it got halted because when we had our first production meeting, we came up with like a whole almost like 13 different shows, new shows. We were like, oh shoot. So I mean, maybe we can try to figure it out. Some
I'm gonna speak
Patreon
something into
content.
existence. One day we're gonna just have like the time in the world where it's like we just walked into a studio, because that's what really most of the time. But we're gonna just be able to walk right in there and just crank out stuff.
Sure, that's ideal. So
yeah, so
That's
if anybody out there want to sponsor the Wrestling Realm, by all means, emails at wrestlingrealm@gmail.com. See what I did there?
I
No,
saw
yeah,
that.
that
My
was
bad,
nice
brother
segue.
Hugh. That
I heard
was your
Nah,
job.
you good. You good. You got it.
See, I'm being nice now. Now you trying
Okay.
to
Hey, you got it. You got it.
He trying to smooge now, trying
Right,
to make
like-
up because he got caught
Yeah.
slipping last week.
I ain't even
Right.
Yeah, you had to get your hit back. That's what it was.
Mhm.
guess who's on the screen right now.
Who is it, man?
Hogan.
Hogan, yeah, he's getting wheeled in the ambulance. Stunning Steve Austin as the U.S. champion.
Stunning Steve Austin.
Stunning Steve Austin.
Mm.
I remember, like, as a child, thinking like, he annoying, because he
Yeah.
was such a good heel.
His
That's
haircut
funny.
pissed me off.
That's funny because I have Stone Cold on my screen going up against the NWO.
Oh, word.
WWE, yeah. There goes Scott Hall, baby. Rest in peace.
2003
Yep.
or 2002. I mean,
Let me see.
Awkward time in the
2.
business.
2.
bro, but the roster was stacked.
It was loaded. It was loaded.
Like
it
you
was,
go back and play those video games like SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
Here Comes the Pain or Shut
that
Your
was
Mouth.
Yeah,
Woo!
both of those were both legendary PS2 WWE wrestling games.
Mm-hmm.
The only part I didn't like about that era was that was still around the time where Shawn Michaels was starting to try to find his footing. But I think like old Shawn Michaels missed that era where everybody was coming back. He came back and was trying to change his look, and I was like,
right.
A little bit later after that, I was, it took him forever to get back to being the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah,
but
I know you ain't like Shawn Michaels in NWO, did you?
No, I hated it. You know, I didn't like it. Like it was just like, come on, bro. Like he's out here with a Kango backwards hat. That was also around the time where they changed the name. You know what I mean? Where they became the WWE versus and I was not a fan of that. I was thoroughly pissed. Like,
was this like right before you stopped watching?
This is around the time where, yeah, I had stopped watching, but my brother was watching. But I would do that thing like I would come downstairs and stare at the TV for about 15 minutes until something outrageous happened. I say, this is why I don't watch wrestling anymore, and then walk out. But I really stood there for like 20 to 30 minutes, just like, oh, okay, it's Kevin Nash there. Oh, this is stupid. Then I would go back and do whatever I was doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was.
You're talking about like Austin and whatnot. This is Austin versus Ricky Steamboat.
No, like WCW Austin just doesn't fly with me at all. I don't care how much of a technician he was. I don't care what he was able to do before the neck injury.
And
it just doesn't
he's
work.
Got Dragon Slayer on his trunks.
I feel bad. He really was trying this in WCW to be like a top heel.
He was.
Did you? Were you a fan of Ricky Steamboat?
Not really. Look, not for any particular reason. He was just past my prime.
Got you.
All the superstars of the 80s that kind of trailed into the early 90s, mid 90s, I caught them during those eras. So they weren't superstars at that time. They were, same thing. Like I didn't know Ric Flair of the 80s. I knew Ric Flair of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Same thing with Ricky Steamboat in the early 90s, and same thing with like Terry Funk. Like I'm a huge Terry Funk fan because of what he did in the mid to late 90s rather than what he was known for in the 70s, 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those type of things. So I have no issue with Ricky Steamboat. And then, I'm a fan of Ricky Steamboat, but he's not one of my guys that I go back and say, man, I remember when Ricky Steamboat did this and did that outside of obviously WrestleMania 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and also his bout he had with Ric Flair in WCW. But I'd say those guys are on the back end of everything, as the business was kind of transitioning, leaving what the 80s kind of laid the groundwork for into a rough period in wrestling where wrestling just wasn't as popular as it was. Steroid allegations were soon to pop up and all these other things that were going on. So
you here?
I'm just here. I'm being real with you. I'm just here.
Marshawn Lynch vibes right now.
Right. Steamboat, like
I asked this man if he was a Ricky Steamboat fan, and he said, "I'm just."
I heard what
you heard what that brother said.
I was just about to answer. You be trying, man. You be trying.
He trying to get his hit back because he mad because you hit back from the first thing that he hit first when he cut you off last week. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same deal with me. Like I wasn't really around for the prime of Steamboat. I've heard about like him, Ric Flair, and whatnot, but I didn't have any beef against him. Like he was a decent, like I thought he was a great wrestler, but like I said, I just wasn't really that interested in him because he didn't relate to me as a child.
Sure.
So
I mean, I get that.
Yeah, I feel you. So now, it's just I went back and watched a lot of his stuff and was like, man, like this dude's good. But I remember as a child, like watching him and Ravish and Rick Rude wrestling. So I was a fan just because, at the time you root for the baby faces and you boo the heels. So that's where I was like a fan. Like even during this era, I'm like rooting for Ricky Steamboat. But, shout out to Ricky Steamboat and whatnot, the legendary. But speaking of legends, John Cena, 20 years. We talked a little bit about that. But one thing that stood out on Raw? Did y'all see Seth Rollins?
The question is, who didn't see Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins.
I thought one of y'all was going to do it. I was hoping one of y'all was going to do it.
No, I don't want to follow that. Like certain
Nah.
people you just don't want to follow. I was like, you know what?
Understandable.
I'm leaving it alone. He is dang near untouchable at this point.
Hey,
Like
hey.
different level. Just like it's such a joy to watch somebody that talented that can perform in the ring, that can entertain you, old school WWE superstar. You know what I mean? It's rare we get both. You get one or you get the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So Seth Rollins is to me is like a throwback. Like I said, he has a lot of Chris Jericho vibes to me. And when it comes to learning how to reinvent himself and make himself relevant, like when you look at certain versions of Seth Rollins, you recognize the era in which that version of Seth Rollins performed in. Yep. And this is just another. Just add this to the list.
You know, I'm sitting there and
you see how he grabbed the mic like he was Bobby Brown.
My bad, because I'm trying to.
Now, don't apologize. I just think it's entertaining. They say I'm crazy.
saying trying to do. Look, we don't have production assistants yet, or no interns. We don't have interns, so we got to do everything. You know, push the show. And
you good? I think it was smooth. They say I'm crazy. How you grab that joint? He snatched that joint.
I can't. But
they say I'm crazy. Sorry.
The thing about Rollins is, you forget that this man has only won like one match in like the past like 6 months.
That's how you know you're doing your job. Come on,
absolutely.
We can do a whole show about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching him with Cena, and I was like, "Thank you. This is hilarious." Like I probably watched it like a gazillion times just on the internet. I even had to throw it in this week's episode of Mac Mania. I was like, I'm taking that clip. I need that because it was hilarious. And for him to sit there, like he did Roman, somebody put together a mashup of both of them for Twitter where he imitated, like did the Shield music. And, you know, like I could go for a Seth Rollins versus John Cena match just because we haven't seen this version of Rollins versus Cena. So like, it's like, even like you said, reinventing himself, right? You could give me like all his old opponents that he done beat or lost to, and give me all those matches again, because it's going to be one. We already know he can go in the ring. But the promos and stuff leading up to it, you're gonna be wondering, can they keep up with him?
He always reminds me that this is why I never was a big fan of face Seth Rollins, because there's so much more depth to him as a character when he's working heel.
Facts.
He's just good at it. You know what I mean? Like I appreciate you being the babyface savior, and you know, and it works for him. Don't get me wrong, but just him as a bad guy is just, there's so much more depth to it. As you can do so much with it, and he does every week. Like he comes out there and funky suits. Like I said, he reminds me. He can take every Batman villain and wrap it up in one and put him in a wrestling ring, and you get Seth Rollins. Like that's how I feel about what he's able to do as a character. And being an old school wrestling bad guy. And he's entertaining. Like he finds a way to make himself relevant in today's product while still maintaining, you know what I mean, his credibility in the ring, his performance in the ring. So Seth Rollins he's in demand. Yeah, go ahead.
You said Batman villain. So Batman had, I'm asking, did like Batman have like the best villains in all of like comics?
I wouldn't say necessarily the best villains, because that's a very subjective and objective argument,
right?
You know, when it comes to that, but I think he had one of the most diverse, right? As in, they were all different. They were all lunatics on different levels, right? So you had someone like the Clown Prince of Crime in the Joker, just sadistic, didn't care about himself or Batman. He just lived to make. He wanted to convince Batman he was just as screwed up in the head as he was, and he would literally do things to provoke Batman to like kill him. Like he wasn't right, and he would just keep doing destruction. Like he just wanted to watch the world burn, just to get Batman to break character, just so he can prove to him you're just as screwed up as I am. And then you had someone like the Riddler, who was literally just obsessed with trying to, like everything was a puzzle to him, right? And everything was an enigma, and he wanted to use that to kind of put himself above what Batman represented. Batman represented like hope, a savior, safety, and the Riddler wanted to just confuse his way into everything. So he was a psychopath on a different level when it comes to his approach, right? And then you have people like the Penguin, the old-fashioned diabolical boss. You know what I mean? Birthed from dysfunction, birthed from neglect and rejection. You know what I mean? Birthed from, just mixed breeding, you know what I mean? Just everything that you could find negative right? Like just someone that's been thrown away, and then he has this kind of boss stature, and he wants like it is so. You can go through like even in the cartoon, like the Mad Hatter. Everything was a game to the Mad Hatter. He resembles Alice in Wonderland. You know what I mean? Always playing these games, always being outlandish, always being elaborate. You know what I mean? Two-Face. Struggling with himself. One side he's good, one side he's bad. One side he's off his rocker, one side he makes sense. You know what I mean? Like you just see all these different things, and there's so many other characters and so many other villains with these different elements. This is always a conversation for something like BlurredCon, of course, unfortunately, which I'm going to miss this year. But it's like all these elements, you take them, and that's just what reminds me of like Batman was one of my first, like I grew up on him like first, like that was I still think it was my first word. And I remember just growing up, even as a kid, when you look at the villains and the toys, all the bad guys had these extremely different characters with one goal in mind: destroy whoever the bad guy, destroy whoever the top good guy was. And that's what Seth Rollins is. Whoever's in charge, whoever is the main guy, there's no depth he won't go to. There's no length he won't like literally stretch to get his point across, to dethrone whoever it is, to get under their skin, to beat them. It doesn't matter. Like it's to the point, like when we saw Rey Mysterio, beef with Rey Mysterio, another legend. He's dressing like Rey Mysterio from WCW in the 90s. With he gets into it with Roman Reigns. He dresses like Seth Rollins from the Shield. He tries to be manipulative. He gets into a feud with Cody Rhodes. He's coming out dressed in polka dots. It's like this dude never, like he does it. It doesn't end. You know what I mean? The first in WrestleMania, he comes out in half wrestling gear, half lingerie with it was. Seth Rollins is just one of those old school villains, and that's just what. You know what I mean? That's what you want in today's wrestling product. We grew up in the superhero era of professional wrestling. In the early years, it was always good versus bad. These superheroes and these villains come to life. And to me, it's such a throwback because it's a far cry. It's completely different from the Attitude Era where you didn't have these kind of mythical type characters. They were kind of jokes. Like you had the Blue Blazer, rest in peace, Owen Hart. And then you had like outlandish characters like Goldust, but they were never these like self-defined villains that were like natural people. You saw it later on with guys like Chris Jericho, and then eventually what Seth Rollins would eventually kind of turn into. But it's just like, man, if you're looking for a bad guy, like look no further. It's Seth Rollins.
Facts.
I mean, just like he blew it. Really, I look forward to seeing what he does next. Every time he comes, like, okay, let's see what Seth Rollins is going to do.
It's must see TV, man. Must see TV.
Sami Zayn has a lot of that potential as well. You know what I mean? But Seth Rollins is like, yo, he gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been sitting there. It's funny you bring up him versus Cody Rhodes. I was watching Raw 98, and I put this in the rundown. When Dustin Rhodes, the time he's having like an identity crisis. And he imitated his dad. I had never seen that before.
Really? I've seen that clip a couple times.
Yeah, see, I mean, mind you, this is during the no cable period.
Oh,
so I'm in February. I'm at the end of February on the road to WrestleMania 14, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, wait, is that Goldust? And he had the American Dream get up, putting the stomach on. I was like, yo, I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, that was a touchy time too, as far as from what I remember. I know they weren't speaking. They weren't on speaking terms.
Yeah, I was about to say, that was around the time they wasn't really rocking with each other like that.
No, they were not on speaking terms. A lot of people felt like he was doing a lot of stuff to spite his father, because he was living in his father's shadow as the natural, kind of an evolution of what the American Dream. But he's such a polarizing legend. Like those are tough shoes to fill. And Vince has this character, and I don't believe Dusty approved. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's kind of what we know Dustin Rhodes as. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what made him a household name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna ask y'all, was y'all fans of the old Dustin Rhodes?
I thought it was boring. Even his resurgence in WCW in the late years. He kind of went back and he was kind of the crazy part is during that time in WCW. When it was in a toilet, it was still a lot of pieces of it that I liked. Like, for instance, Terry Funk went back to WCW late, and he was having hardcore matches with, like, I believe Johnny Stamboli. And just, but some of my favorite hardcore matches to date, just because I'm like, I like fresh Terry Funk matchups. Because, we saw him in ECW. We saw him late in WCW, 97-ish, and then back and forth to ECW, and then we saw him late in WCW. But I remember when Dustin Rhodes, we went back around the same time. I don't know if it was before or after the whole thing with Jeff Jarrett. That era of WCW when Booker T was kind of coming to the main event scene. I was like, I get it. It's cool, but it just, once again, it's only so much depth you can go to with a character like that. It's like, all right, okay, we get it. You're the natural, but he wasn't a superstar. Like, you call yourself the natural, but it's like Cody, if Cody Rhodes called himself the natural, it would make sense because he's a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no disrespect to Dustin Rhodes by any means, like by all due respect, you know. But to me, it was flat for me.
Yeah, I was about to say I thought he was kind of plain too, the old Dustin Rhodes. You could tell for sure that he was just trying to fit in.
Yeah, and that's the word.
Yeah, trying to live in the limelight of his father.
Yep.
And it like you said, it wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. I'm glad he went out and found himself and created this Gold Dust gimmick, because that allowed him to express his creative freedom. You know, and it made him into a superstar that he is today. So I mean, like, you're absolutely right with that, man. I just thought he was kind of boring, kind of plain at that time.
If you look at both his Dustin Rhodes runs, they were both, you can tell they were both kind of like significant for his relationship with his father.
Yeah,
because he kind of got into the business as the natural Dustin Rhodes, kind of trying to, you know, follow in Dad's footsteps. And when you learn about the history of their relationship and how he kind of really wasn't there because he was always on the road, especially during those times, it was very, very different. Times were different. Life was different. Communication was different.
Money was different.
Money was different. You know, there was no cell phones. There were no cordless phones. There were no FaceTime. You know what I mean? So communication was different. And, you know, what son wouldn't want the opportunity to kind of get involved and spend that type of time with their dad? And even same thing when he went back to WCW, he was in the ring with his father, you know, and it was the same thing, except it was just an older version of what we saw in the early 90s. So you understand it, you know what I mean? Especially now that that the great Dusty Rhodes has passed away. It's like, man, maybe he needed those moments, those runs, just to be, you know, with his father, because that's what probably helped bring them closer together. So it's just a little flat for me. It's just not my cup of tea or my generation. So it
was kind of like was it DiBiase Jr.?
Yeah,
it's kind of like that
because their dads were superstars.
Yeah,
and it's like, if you're not going to come in and be a superstar, those are tough shoes to fill because they were polarizing characters. Like doing that, like it's tough to go from Goldust to Dustin Rhodes the natural, because it's like, wait a minute. You might have known Dustin Rhodes before, but I knew Goldust. It was so elaborate. Like, goodness gracious. Think about all the stuff he did in a 2 to 3 year period as that character, and then all of a sudden go back to be normal again. Like, oh, I'm just Dustin Rhodes. I'm the natural. I'm you know, a pedigree in the business. I'm a, you know, 3rd, 4th generation guy or whatever, you know, he is and stuff. Like, it is like, 2nd generation wrestler, you know, grandson of a plumber. It's like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, man, you went from being so elaborate to very just like straightforward cowboy-ish. So it's just, it wasn't for me. Maybe somebody liked it. I'm sure he enjoyed his run, but
I ain't like Dustin Rhodes. Even as a child, I just thought it was just weird. But he was. But he's in AEW Forbidden Door. Man, the realness said earlier, Orange Cassidy. Like I thought Ospreay
let's get into it.
And Orange Cassidy had the match of the night. I remember
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
No, I take it back. Go ahead, finish. I don't disagree with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sitting there watching it, and it was one of those matches like, you know, you sitting there, you go to the restaurant, you talking, but this was like, wait a minute. Nah, and you know, Will Ospreay can go. I remember you first introduced me to him. It was him, Zack Sabre Jr., and AJ Styles, right?
No, but I don't know if we can mention the other guy's name due to allegations.
Right.
But you know who I'm referring to. If you remember Rev Pro UK during 2014, 15-ish, 16-ish, you kind of know.
Yeah.
But they did have a match though. Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, and AJ Styles. But yes.
Right. Yeah. And maybe that's what it was. You talked about that. Maybe not on the show, but you talked about it off the air.
That was around the time when AJ Styles was making his runs and he was trying to get the TNA stick off of him. Like he just showed up and like he was making his run. They was letting him do other bookings outside of New Japan.
Yeah. But man, like I said, just watching them two go at it, because I was like, all right, this match about to come up. All right, it's gonna be comedy, whatever.
Mhm.
But man, oh man, I talked about it on the Patreon.
Mhm.
So just $1, you can hear my thoughts. But I want to hear what y'all got to say.
I'll say this though, it was a pleasant surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Not because I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting the match to be good. It's just that sometimes, me personally, I get so caught up in the Orange Cassidy character that I don't always give him the proper respect he deserves for what he can do inside the ring. Dude can flat out go. Like Orange Cassidy is no joke. And to me, he's a WWE guy. And I say WWE guy because he has found a way to balance sports entertainment and professional wrestling. And that's not easy to do in AEW because AEW is a primarily professional wrestling company, right? With hints of sports entertainment in it. Like to me, like some of the best sports entertainers in AEW are like, it was always Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Those were guys that I'm like, these guys get it. You know what I mean? They know how to entertain you, but they're not slouches in the ring. Orange Cassidy is one of those guys as well. But we see, this is my problem with AEW's television. We only see one side of Orange Cassidy for at least 89% of the time. So then when it's time for Orange Cassidy to show who Orange Cassidy really is, and he gets in the match like Will Ospreay, mentally I'm looking at it, second guessing it. And then once again, I'm like, oh shoot, I was wrong. Like you tend to forget how good he really is. And I like, we're not here to discuss why the booking is the way that it is in AEW, but Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't enthused about it because we talked about it. I was like, oh, this is what are we going to do with this match? Like, that's the best you can come up with Will Ospreay, a televised American match, because he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't do anything in the States. Right. First time I've ever seen him on American television, like on a big budget, like cable, pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't see Will Ospreay. Like, that's the best you can do for his first match. And I don't think that's what they originally intended, but with all the injuries and everything that's going on, oh man, I couldn't have been more thrilled about it. It might have been match of the night. Yeah. What I was trying to say before, what I meant to say was it wasn't my favorite match of the night, but I mean, it could be, it's arguably, you know what I mean, could have naturally been. So,
what was your favorite?
The Fatal 4-Way.
Oh, okay.
And I'll just jump right into it. That match is, to me, what AEW is missing on a regular basis, right? I'm always talking about dance partners, right? And AEW usually has somebody that's a huge superstar, and they're trying to make somebody else. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but to me, that's the biggest difference between AEW and WWE. Where it's like, even in Ring of Honor, right? You had great dance partners, and I'm talking about have I seen a better show? New Japan collab, yes. Ring of Honor, New Japan during that era, second to none. If that was AEW at that time, or if AEW was around and they launched a promotion with all those guys, they will be in a completely different space right now. I don't know if AJ Styles would even make it to WWE. You know what I mean?
Now with the money too.
Tony Khan was throwing around that kind of money with that much talent available. Kevin Owens might have been gone around that time. Kevin Owens was there for like, I think 2014 for the War of the Worlds. But we're talking the Adam Coles, the Red Dragons, everybody that we enjoy now, they were in Ring of Honor or New Japan during that time, outside of Reigns and Rollins and all those other guys. But I was like, this is what I want to see. Like, I cared about Kazuchika Okada, huge fan of his. Like, he was the him and Seth Rollins were starting to become like top guys around the same time. Like, and I remember when they passed the torch to Okada to be the next guy. It was Tanahashi, it was Shinsuke, it was Okada, AJ Styles. Those top four guys at one point when I was the heaviest into New Japan as far as the main event players. And then like you have Kazuchika Okada, you have Adam Cole. I'm a huge Adam Cole fan. I have been. I'm so glad he's in AEW because I'd rather he be at an AEW featured as Adam Cole than me in WWE trying to be something else. Jay White is the reason I'm wearing this Bullet Club t-shirt right now, because shout out to Jay White and what he's accomplished, because when Kenny Omega left and he took over as the leader of the Bullet Club, New Japan was trying to create a new star. And I watched Jay White as a young boy If you don't know what a young boy is, it's the guys that are training in the dojo. And usually when they make the excursions to the States, they only wear black trunks, white boots. And then usually once they're done the excursion, they come back as a gimmick or a character. And when he became the Switchblade, he became the leader of the Bullet Club. I said the Bullet Club is dead. I give him so much respect and credit for fighting to keep the Bullet Club relevant. I'm talking even through Impact.
I was gonna say Impact.
When they were trying to alluding to it, but nobody was saying it. Even in AEW, when they showed up there, they were kind of alluding to it. Even in WWE, when they brought with the OC with Carl Anderson and AJ Styles and even Finn Balor. So like it was a difficult job to do. Like he was the one. I kept saying the Bullet Club's still around. Bullet Club's still around. And when you look at what the Bullet Club is now, I'm like, yo, it may not be as popular as it was at its height, but it's relevant. You know why? Because you got Bullet Club members in WWE, and Finn and AJ. You got Bullet Club members in Impact with Chris Bay and the OG Good Brothers. You have Bullet Club members in AEW and the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and then you have the rest of the Bullet Club in New Japan. I'm like, they've got Bullet Club members in every promotion, right? Every major promotion right now. If you put up Too Sweet, it's like a fraternity. We may not be from the same chapter, but we all know what this is about. And I said, man, it had to have been a tough job for Jay White to sit there and walk in the footsteps of every previous leader of the Bullet Club. We're talking Finn first. We're talking AJ Styles. We're talking Kenny Omega. And now we got the Switchblade Jay White. Unbelievable. Like I give him so much credit and so much respect for what he's done, because when he kept saying the Bullet Club is still alive, I said, man, no, it's not. And then now when you look at it, they got all these new young guys that are buying into it. You have a lot of veterans, guys like the OG Good Brothers who are back in the mix. It just adds this legitimacy to it. When the Young Bucks came out at Forbidden Door in old school Young Bucks Bullet Club gear with the music,
I forgot that guy's name.
Was it El Phantasma? Whatever his name is. At first I thought it was Chase Owens. I said, no, it's not Chase Owens, but Chase Owens is in the Bullet Club. I was like, man, you know, you still got like Bad Luck Fale, still an OG member. I said, man, that has got to be one of the most difficult things to do, and he has found a way to make it work. He has found a way to stay relevant. He is a top guy. When I saw him in the AEW ring, I said they need Jay White, but I'm so scared for him to go there because I'd rather him stay in New Japan. The only problem I had, and then you had Hangman Page. I'm not a Hangman Page fan. I never have been. That's no disrespect to Hangman Page. It's just not my cup of tea. There's only one. There's one guy missing from this match that I wish would have been here. That would have made that match perfect for me. It was Pete Dunne. Oh, I needed Pete Dunne to be in that match, for that match to be one of my favorite matches of all time.
Yeah, with Butch.
I was about to say, you need talking about Butch, right?
Butch can stay on SmackDown. I needed Pete Dunne. I want Pete Dunne to go to AEW, and honestly, I really do. I was like, man,
he would be better utilized there. Honestly,
I'm telling you, if guys like Walter and Pete Dunne and Ricochet and Cedric Alexander and maybe Shelton Benjamin, like if those guys ended up in AEW, it might, you know, I know they're oversaturated as it is with talent. But if they made room, that match, when I saw that match, I said, man, this is probably one of the best matches on the card for me, because I cared about the matchups. I cared about at least 3 out of the 4 guys in the ring. It didn't have to be all 4. I cared about 3 out of the 4 guys. I'm fans of at least 3 out of the 4 guys. And I said, this is what I need in AEW, because I needed the same thing in TNA. Like, it was difficult to get through shows, but I enjoyed their matchups. And Jay White looked like $1 million. And I was like, man, if he ever jumped ship, he could be a big time player for AEW. But like I said, he's a big time player in New Japan. New Japan has always been patient with their slow build when they build the new stars, right? Jay White is that slow build, and it's paying off finally. You know what I mean? It is paying off, because, like I said, the Bullet Club is literally every promotion right now. Some version of the Bullet Club is alive and well, and they have representatives everywhere. And I think that's pretty dope, man. So that's exactly why I put this on today.
How cool was it to see Okada, though? You know, just coming out there and just
in
HD.
In HD, like, they got a budget, man. When I saw him in the ring, Okada does that little squint he does, and he starts going like this. and everybody got up. I said, "Oh yeah, this is one of those proud to be a wrestling fan moments. Like this is what it's about." And Jay White started getting fired up before the match even started. I said, "Man, if Pete Dunne was just in this match, it'd be perfect." Adam Cole.
I like you saying Pete Dunne. I don't think a lot of people would have thought about that.
But see, this is my thing. He fits that style of match.
I know.
If I and this is drive me freaking nuts. This
it's
is
your show, brother. This is
right.
Hold on. This is
right.
Go off.
This is why I have to start Riddles Reacts, because that's the caliber of matches that I enjoyed outside of WWE when I wasn't feeling WWE. Right? AEW can't tell me how great they are because I've seen greatness outside of WWE on a smaller budget. Doesn't have to be a big budget, right? And I'm watching AEW with this huge budget. I'm like, man, if they could just get some established talent to just fit in. I think AEW does a better job of booking smaller guys in AEW than WWE ever does, because when WWE doesn't like somebody's size, they try to repackage them because they're looking for these characters, which is understandable because that's what they do. But when you can give me an established character that I'm familiar with and I'm a fan of, and you can put them in the ring and let them be themselves.
Yep.
I got that in Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? Back in those days. Right. And it doesn't mean in Ring of Honor every match on the card was great, but I'm talking about the big shows. No pun intended. Like the big, like the War of the Worlds, the Global Wars. You know what I mean? The Death Before Dishonors. You know, all those, you know, the Super Card of Honor. Like those big pay-per-views, especially during the New Japan Ring of Honor partnership.
Yep.
You got to see the matchups. You got to see the Tanahashi show up. You got to see the Shinsuke show up. You know what I mean? You got to see the matchups between the Bullet Club and the Kingdom. You know what I mean? You got to see all of these different things. And I said, man, these are all heavy hitters that are not in WWE. Like, I need that level of talent in WWE and in AEW, not just one established guy and all new guys. Like, I don't want to keep seeing you make somebody else over and over again. Sometimes I want to see the good matchups, and that's the biggest thing when it comes to what I always talk about, dance partners. That match to me, I said, man, if Pete Dunne was in this match would be perfect. And the match was just fine as it was. Don't get me wrong. No slight to Hangman Page, but I'm just not a fan of him. Some people are. A lot of people are. He was a former world champion, right?
Yeah.
But Hangman Page just doesn't tickle my fancy. But Pete Dunne, I said, man, if Pete Dunne, like, what's Pete Dunne doing right now? Think about it. Pete, this is just me as a fan. We fantasy book. Pete Dunne's trying to find his way. Pete Dunne's playing a role, and I think he's going to be there for a while until he finds his footing. Yeah. Let Pete Dunne had not signed that contract to return to WWE, and he goes, I'm going to go where everybody else is going, AEW. And Pete Dunne was in that style match, or he was like in the ring. Come on, man. Like, to me, it just fits better. Like, he just his style of wrestling, his notoriety, how he got his popularity. That fan base is sitting right there in AEW, and I'm like, man. I was excited, man. Jay White, I don't think he's ever experienced an American audience like that. Like, he's done a lot of stuff in New Japan, in Impact, but that's a studio show. You know what I mean? You could tell he was out there in front of all those people in Chicago, and he was locked in and loaded. And I was like, man, we're about to see the best version of all three of these guys, all four of these guys in this match, which is why it was my favorite match of the night. I wouldn't mean to harp on it so much, but
now you got excited, bro. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
you know,
right. I mean,
we got a show. We do what we want.
That was what I was like, okay. This is what I want AEW to be all the time, but they don't have enough pieces, because you can't give me that match every night. You can't give me that. I'll even take one, but like I said, with Kenny Omega out and all other kind of stuff, you know, it's difficult, and they have a ton of injuries right now.
Yeah,
so
they looking like WWE 2015.
Yeah,
you got all your big stars out. Claudio, All Elite. Him and Zack Sabre Jr. I thought, you know. To a lot of people, it was a toss-up on match of the night. You know, I think for the exact reason you was mentioning earlier for Ospreay and Cassidy, for me, it was because of the surprise factor and how good the match. I mean, I really enjoyed the match, but also the surprise factor. Like, you know, Claudio and Zack Sabre Jr., I knew they was going to give us a good match. And they delivered. He looks like he's happy to be there. Even on Blood and Guts, you know, watching him. I want to see what happens with him now. You know what I mean?
But you already know what's gonna happen with him now. That's I was waiting for you to get it out so I can go ahead and say my piece. Because that's the problem. That's the problem with AEW.
Man. He fits, man.
He fits, and I appreciate him. But then where do you go with him? Like once the flavor wears off,
He's going to get that mirror treatment. My bad.
Go right back. No, you're going to go right back and get a different stick of gum.
Right.
Like once, like let's be real. Like it's the same story. It was a surprise factor. It was utter appreciation because a live AEW audience is going to appreciate Cesaro. Like there's no denying that. But what is he really going to be doing in AEW that he wasn't doing in WWE? To be honest with you, like let's be like Miro's not doing anything in AEW that he wasn't doing in WWE. You're still a mid card guy. You're still competing for mid cards, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Maybe I don't know the ins and outs of how he's being compensated and appreciated. That probably plays a huge factor. I think in AEW, you don't have to be a top guy to be appreciated, which I respect about Tony Khan. But you should be that way. You know what I mean? You should treat because I think the performers are more content with their spots when they're being treated like they're being treated one way regardless of their spot on the card. You know what I mean? That was the main reason why Kevin Nash left TNA late. You know, he was there for a while, but after a while, he had been there for so long they kind of took him for granted because he kind of fizzled out. He was regular Kevin Nash. He had a great crew cut. He came when he did. He worked how he did, and they stopped treating him like a big deal. So when it was time to be compensated, he's like, "Hey, so what do we?" And they're like, Kevin, we'll give you this," because they were comfortable. So what does he do? He drops about 10 pounds. He grows his hair back out. He dyes it jet black, and he shows up at the Royal Rumble, and all of a sudden, he's the talk of the town. He got into a serious program with one of the top guys at the moment, which was CM Punk, until injuries took place. You know what I mean? And he had one more run when he probably wasn't supposed to. But he did. He said, "You know what? I still got it. I can still go in this business." Just prior to that, he was in TNA doing a bunch of nothing for like 4 or 5 years straight.
Yeah.
Showing up, not showing up, joking or not joking, shaved hair, shaved gray hair. Like when you look at Kevin Nash's, some of his early matches in TNA, if he had just grown his hair out and dyed it blonde or brown the way he was supposed to, those matches would be a big deal. But he looks like a shell of himself because he's got a crew cut. It was blonde. Like I didn't like it when he cut his hair with the match he lost with Triple H. You know, I was like, I'm not like, you don't look like Kevin Nash. But what did you do? You grow your hair back out and did, but he grew his hair out a couple times, seemed like a big deal, but it was gray. You look old now. I remember he said he felt disrespected one time being in the airport, and somebody was like, "Oh, Kevin Nash, you still wrestle?" He's like, I haven't stopped wrestling, but you're in TNA. The casual wrestling fan didn't watch that, or the casual audience didn't watch TNA. Only wrestling fans watch TNA. So at the end of the day, you look at the same thing. Like, okay, you're gonna go to AEW, they're gonna appreciate you, and they probably treat you better. They give you respect, but what does that really do for your career?
Exactly.
Like Cody left AEW to become a bigger star, right? Okay, so you leave AEW to go to AEW to be a bigger star, but what happens when you're not a bigger star? Whose fault is that? Is it booking? Is it maybe you're just not as good as you thought you were? Are you comfortable? Like Miro. Miro was supposed to be, I don't know what people said he was supposed to be, but he's the same guy he was. Same guy in WWE, he's the same guy in AEW.
People criticize McMahon for saying that when he said they making fun of you, they laughing at you, they not laughing with you with Rusev Day.
Like he took the cheap pop, it worked. You know, they sold a bunch of t-shirts. Okay, he was never a dominant, destructive guy. He tried to. Once he started speaking, he lost that. Like when he was silent, Rusev, Machka, all that stuff he was doing, it was a mystique to it. But then after a while, they cooled you out because you kind of got exposed. Like, yo, you're not as down. Because I remember we talked about Rusev. We said, well, where do you go with him? Why do you have him beat everybody if he's not going to be a world champion? Like, if you're going to have him destroy everybody, why is he not at least competing for the world title? Like, I'm beating everybody so I can show up. And then when I show up, I'm at least competing for what's at stake.
You know, that's why I was happy Omos lost to Bobby Lashley. For that reason. So it's like, all right, get that loss out the way.
The super build, and then there's no payoff. We saw it happen.
They're doing the same thing with Veer right now, so pretty much.
Yep, they got to cool him off now. That's why he got thrown over there. Because like, okay, like don't gas him up just for him to lose. Because then you're like, oh well, shoot, what do we do with him? Happened with Lance Archer in AEW. I know, like that. I don't necessarily blame them 100% for that because of COVID and everything and stuff with Jake not being healthy. Like I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it's like you did all that. Even it didn't even have to be for the world title. You did all that just for him to lose to Cody.
Yeah. And
I'm like Cody was already fledgling. It's like you might as well get the sympathy factor on Cody. Let him beat him. Even if he gets it back next week, who cares? Like, he needed that win, and then nothing happened with Lamb. He disappeared. Like, I don't remember nothing about his run after he lost to Cody Rhodes. And then he popped back up and he was trying to get back in contention. Now he's just kind of like, all right, he's just another guy.
Floating on dark.
So it's like, I appreciate you, Cesaro, but let's be real. Like, he's nothing. He's going to do the same thing he was doing in WWE. He's going to do it in AEW. Like I said, maybe the fan base and the respect backstage may be there. Jeff Hardy, just huge thing, because Jeff Hardy did it 1,000 times at TNA too. Like, he goes over there. At first, it's like a huge Hall of Fame talent jump ship, and then what? A week and a half later, he fizzles out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you criticize Jeff Hardy for going after the 24/7 championship. You criticize Jeff Hardy for being on Main Event wrestling the Shelton Benjamin, stuff like that. Right, but him and Hardy's on AEW working with young talent. So which one is it? Like it's fool's gold. Stop trying to tell me, oh no, well, he's going to be, like I said, they probably do treat them better. They probably do treat them, there's no, in the WWE, they never let you buy into who you are. They won't let you, because they're like, we can't allow you to think that you're bigger than the company, because you'll hold us hostage at some point. And you could blame Lex Luger and the rest of those guys that came up. Everybody that had a handshake agreement with Vince McMahon, it showed up on Monday Nitro. They're the reason he became a crude businessman.
Yeah.
They're the reason they had a publicly traded company now. And he said he said on Pat McAfee's show, oh, this makes me a better businessman now, because now I have to think about the company. I can't. He said, I'm a good human being. I might think about, well, I don't want to get rid of them. They got a family. He said, but I don't have to answer the shareholders. If I don't do my job, then the company goes under.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, you want to be mad at Vince for being a certain type of way? Well, blame your favorites. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You remember the last time we told people blame somebody for something, they got mad when we told them to blame Tony Khan for the NXT 2.0.
It's the truth, though. Everybody
they can't handle the truth.
Everybody was coming in with their own names now. Like, Vince is like, I'm not about to let them make money off me. It's the other way around. Like, so you're gonna come here, make a name for yourself, and then take your name that you made on a main event platform and gonna take it elsewhere and make more money.
Oh no.
That's just bad business. That's why everybody's got to change. They got to drop the first name, or they got to change their last name, or it's like, just go back to changing people's names before they even get in the door. I don't have a problem with it. The problem is we got so used to what we got so used to, like Walter and Gunther. Like, I'm just coming around to accepting that, okay, he's still the same guy. He's in good shape. I still like the dominance of Fat Walter, because he was, but I'm seeing he's still putting on the weight. Like, okay, as long as he still beefs up and still, we still getting a Gunther run. He's still the ring general. It's just, it's got a WWE polish on it. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, he can always go back to doing what he's doing to be Walter. Can you imagine if Walter shows up in AEW? There you go. So it's like, you have these opportunities, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's some things that AEW does well. There's some things that WWE does well. And as a fan, you can sit back and enjoy both. Or you can decide that you gravitate to one product versus the other.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad Cesaro is going to be appreciated. I don't like Pat Cesaro. I never did, even when he was on the independent scene. I used to see Cesaro in all the video packages in the early Ring of Honor commercials when they would, they used to always sell old DVDs. And, he was in his Kings of Wrestling thing and spinning people on his head. I forgot what the movie's called.
The UFO, I think?
Yes, the UFO. So I'm not a fan of Pan Cesaro. I think he eventually changed his back, but
yeah, he did that joint on top of the cage tonight.
Do you think Yolanda did his gear?
I would think maybe. I know they've had a great working relationship for I
know she's done a lot of his gear. So if she has, shout out to you, Miss Yolanda, for
Gimmicks 247. Shout out to her, man. Great times at WSU.
Oh yeah.
Hugh asked this question earlier this week, and I don't think it made the social airways, but we're gonna put it out there. Moxley versus Tanahashi. I don't feel like talking about that match. I don't know if y'all do, but the real question is that Hugh is wondering. Go ahead, brother Hugh. I'll let you have your question.
No, you got it, baby. Go ahead.
Is Tanahashi washed? Is Tanahashi washed?
Yeah, is he done for, man? Like, what's going on? What's going on with Tanahashi, man?
No, of course not. There's no way in the world Tanahashi can be washed. His style doesn't mesh well with John Moxley.
Mhm.
Like there's multiple forms of matches that you'll see
Mhm.
in like perusal style or Japanese professional wrestling, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
Moxley represents one aspect of it. You know what I mean? The kind of the hardcore deathmatch version of it. And you know, Tanahashi is more of a traditional in-ring general megastar. Like he's the John Cena of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's almost like John Cena versus John Moxley or John Cena versus Dean Ambrose. You know what I mean? It's like those styles don't mesh well together. Like you guys both, somebody's got to be something. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. It just doesn't. It's always going to fall flat because certain styles just don't mesh well together. Like we do too much of the same thing, and somebody's got to have some type of something. You know, and we saw this match before. I know we were talking about this, and we were about I guess last week, and we were discussing how neither myself or Brian H or brother Hugh was really looking forward to this match because we've seen it already.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, for a lot of people in the States, a lot of casual wrestling fans, and even wrestling fans who aren't, you know, familiar with what goes on in New Japan or New Japan, you know, the US division, you know, when they do their spots here in the US. I've never seen it before, but all my favorite matches with Tanahashi were with guys that he had great chemistry with. So AJ Styles, Kazuchika Okada. First of all, Kazuchika Okada is number one.
I was
But
about to
the
say,
AJ Styles, the Kenny Omegas, the Jay Whites, like those to me are his best matches. The Kurt Angles, you know what I mean? They got destroyed by Brock Lesnar, him and Shinsuke. You know, they were the Randy Orton and John Cena / Batista trying to come up when they were trying to revamp New Japan and get behind a couple of guys. You know, Lesnar took that money. Same thing with Kurt Angle. But I just don't think their styles, for me personally, like what Tanahashi is used to doing. I understand if CM Punk was in that match, I think that match would have been 1,000 times better because CM Punk understands the magnitude of what that match would have meant.
Yeah.
And I think they would have told a different story. John Moxley, he told the same old John Moxley story.
I was about to say, I'll give you that about CM Punk. I mean, you know how I feel about CM Punk. I'm not his biggest fan, but definitely he recognizes like the importance of that match, and he would have made it work for sure.
He's a historian. He's a wrestling fan. So he would have said, what can we do to make this match the biggest match on the card? Because there was really two icons coming together. Like CM Punk's an icon. Like CM Punk paved the way for what AEW is. Because if you look at all the superstars who are thriving right now, he was the first one. And I will always give CM Punk that credit to say, this guy came from this scene. He was the indie superstar that didn't have the look, that didn't come from, you know, the same pedigree, didn't have the size, and came in and became a crossover megastar.
Yeah.
The problem with Punk is he just left at the height of his popularity.
Right.
You know what I mean? But him knowing that would have been a moment. CM Punk meets Tanahashi. That's a dream match. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that Punk wasn't able to, you know, participate due to injuries along with so many other people and other, you know, contractual obligations, AAA and CMLL, all those things mixed, intertwined. And they gave us the best match they could, but like I said, it was something we've seen before, and I think I'm not gonna say it fell flat. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but no, Tanahashi is far from watch. Tanahashi is a walking legend. It's just that once again, AEW fell short with dance partners because,
right,
like you could have. I'm gonna tell you who could have had a crazy match with Tanahashi. Christian, are you kidding me? Christian and Tanahashi would have tore the house down, but you got to make it make sense. Like Christian is not involved in these storylines. He wasn't a part of this whole process. You know, they had to keep up with the, you know, hey, the title, interim champion, all that good stuff. But
right.
A guy like Christian in the ring with Tanahashi, they would have blew the roof off the place.
Man, he is, man. Speaking of Christian, like you was talking about last week, just this different heel run. I mean, on AEW Dynamite, Blood and Guts. Man, he went out there, you know, cut the promo, said, man, they told me to apologize. And he didn't. He basically got smart and then said, I apologize that everybody in your family ain't dead. And he goes, except your mother.
Yes.
And I was like,
I love it.
Yo,
going
this
to a dark
guy.
Place, going to a dark place, Christian. Good Lord.
Right.
Name like Christian, you're acting far from it.
Well, like you said,
it's not Christ-like, buddy.
you said you know you ain't want to see him be that whiny heel, and it don't look like he gonna be one.
Man, I'm loving it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I just wish that he was involved. Once again, Dan, I don't want to see him in Jungle Boy beef. Now I get it, working with young guys, trying to get him over, I get that, man. But it's like, well, why are you not trying to compete for the AEW World Title?
Is
Like,
this
why
an intro
you?
feud though, and to this character? Like,
I'm not trying to hear that though. How old is Christian? How many? What did he
I
do
was
the
about to
intro?
say, yeah, he's
Like, he's
I
not no
know,
young
bro.
boy.
but he turned on him, so it's gotta make sense, don't it? Like, don't he
It-
gotta
it-
like?
It makes sense, but it's like, is that really what Christian's in AEW to do? Like, it's
so
like
he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
it's like Edge coming in to beef with Ricochet.
Nah.
That's
Oh,
how I feel. Like I think like it's like Edge beefing Rick. Like, okay, you're young and up and coming talent, and I'm beefing with you. Be like, I'm your mentor. Then I turn on you, and now we got a feud going on, and that's like that's what you're known for right now. Like that's what we're
Yeah.
doing. Like I understand it to be like a side thing eventually, but to me, he hasn't done enough. Like,
Gotcha.
come on, like you're Christian for goodness sake. Like you should be competing for titles. You should be like, hey, I'm still Christian. I should be in the mix. Like that's how I want to see Christian booked. Like that's why I loved his run when he was. We talked about they stole my idea about him. I said, well, it makes sense for him to beat Kenny Omega for the Impact title because he can get the Impact title back, the TNA title, then do exactly what he did, take it back, restore back to his glory, and then dropped it and going about his business. Retired the TNA title again because it wasn't really it was a defunct title. You know, merged them, unified them as they say in the business. You know what I mean? And then he handed it back to the like it was the right thing to do. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he went back to managing after that. Like, dude, like, why are you not trying to say, hey, I'm trying to be in the mix of this?
right.
But but that's how, once again, that's how I like to see Christian booked. Like that's I didn't come to see Edge beef with Cedric Alexander and guys like that, or even to beef with like Damian Priest. Like I don't want to see him beef with Damian Priest, have a feud with him, even though they beat him up. Like not as one of the first or second things that you do. Like see, Edge has run out of stuff to do. So he's like, okay,
yeah,
I did everything already. I've been in title matches. I've been in Royal Rumbles. I had at least 5 or 6 major matches, like history. Okay, like this is Edge in this era since I come back for the neck injury. He's got a whole nother career. So like we look at the eras of Edge, his early years, his mid years, his main event years, and then he comes back in his comeback years, as we call it. He's got a whole run for his comeback years. Now he could say, I can cut my hair. That's why I wasn't mad when Edge cut his hair. I wasn't mad when he started working with the Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, and then all of a sudden they wrote him off TV. And I'm like, well, I'm okay now because when you first came back, you still gave me Edge.
Yeah,
you gave me my favorite match today. He still has with Roman Reigns. You know, you gave me him in Reigns. You gave me him in Rollins. You gave me him in AJ. Like I'm good. Like I'm straight. Like you gave me him in Orton for goodness sake. Even during the pandemic, you know.
right.
I'm like I just named 4 or 5 heavy hitters, right? And then you know I'm sure he's gonna come back and it's gonna be him and Finn. You know, I'm assuming so. Now you can go work with the young talent. I get that. Like okay, cool. That's fine. I don't mind it. But Christian, come on, man. You did all that, and then you want to manage Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's cool, but it's like you still Christian. Like, why are you doing this? But I can't. This is why it's tough for me to get through.
The money was right. Man. The money was right, bro.
I mean, you got to do that because WWE disrespected him.
Yeah, they did. They big time.
It wasn't what he wanted, and then even creatively, I don't think it was the money. I think creatively, they just wanted him to be an accessory to what they were doing with Edge, and Reigns. And he was like, "Dude, like I'm Christian. Don't treat me like an accessory. Like, if you let me have a legitimate feud with this guy, don't just be like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna beat you up and destroy you, and Edge's gonna come save the day. He's like, wait a minute, I'm Christian. What you're supposed to do? Don't let them do that.
Right,
Never let
right,
the WWE."
right.
You know, destroy like you for the sake of what they want you to do. So he had to
tell
do. He had
to
to
the
do.
young ones, man. Tell them.
Yeah, like don't sell your soul to be a part of a storyline where you don't have to do that. You paid your dues. You have a Hall of Fame career. You don't have to do that at this point. Like especially when you like, hey man, I got in shape. I lost all this weight. I got one more run in me. Y'all trying to make me an accessory to somebody else's run? Like, nah, let me have my own run. Which he deserved. And so he goes to AEW. That's what you have to do. Same thing. Bret Hart and WCW. Like I knew they weren't going to book him the right way. That's why it's difficult to enjoy some of your favorites. Daniel Bryan's another one. After Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryan 1 and 2. What else do I need to watch for?
Oh, you don't like the never mind.
Like
I like the the Beatdown Club or whatever. I can't think of the name right now.
The Blackpool.
Yeah, Blackpool Combat Club.
Right, but who are they going to face?
That's true. I mean, I just like watching them beat people up. I think because that's what he said he wanted to do, just go there and beat people up. So I'm fine with it. You know, once he said that
about the matchups, though,
I want to say beat people up.
Why are we not getting CM Punk, Daniel Bryan? Like that's something that's never really been seen to the level that we wanted to see it.
Right, because it plays second fiddle to John Cena and John Laurinaitis.
Like, come on, like this is what my issue with AEW. Like, they have a lot of, it's the same issue I had with TNA early on. You got all this young talent, and you don't got enough established guys. The problem with TNA was they brought in all the established guys, and they just work with each other. And I'm just like, why is the whole main event mafia? It's everybody. They're on the same team. Like, is somebody going to sit there and try to figure this out? But yeah,
facts. Man.
It is what it is, though. For Forbidden Door, I know we wrapped. We talked about a lot of. We didn't really go into depth about the whole pay-per-view. Was there anything else specifically you want to talk about? Because I want to ask you a particular question.
Go ahead.
After the fact, but I was asking you, like, is that everything? Is that everything we need to cover?
That's all. I'm good. You here?
Yeah,
I'm good with
it. Yeah.
Those were the three matches that stood out to me. My favorite match was the Fatal 4-Way. Anytime I get Jay White stateside, I'm all for it. Switchblade. Overall, taking consideration that things didn't work out the way they wanted to. It had a lot of like WCW Alliance, ECW versus WWF Invasion ish. Like, okay, this is supposed to be a lot bigger than it was.
Right.
In comparison to, like I said, some of those New Japan, Ring of Honor super shows, if you have seen them, where do you think it ranks up there with that?
So I haven't seen them like in their entirety, but
you're missing out. You need a DVD player, and I'm going to hand you DVDs, and you're going to watch it and say,
"I got the PlayStation. It'll work on the PlayStation."
There you go. You got a PlayStation. You're going to say that these matches. You're going to look at Global Wars. You're going to look at War of Worlds and say these are better than All In. The first All In was better than All In, and it's better than the Forbidden Door.
See, that's the thing. I enjoy Forbidden Door. It didn't match All In.
All In was like independent WrestleMania. It was groundbreaking.
Yeah,
and even then, All In wasn't better than Global Wars or War of the Worlds.
Right.
Ooh.
You know, and so to me, this was probably, no disrespect, probably one of the lower AEW pay-per-views. Because they usually put on good pay-per-views. It might be
supposed to be a big deal, though, and it just didn't work out.
But it wasn't bad. That's the thing, right?
No, it wasn't bad. It's just that it seemed like a regular AEW talent exchange show. It didn't feel like a collaborative. Like Will Ospreay never came to Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? We never saw Kenny Omega in Ring of Honor. Like they were strictly New Japan guys. Like, you had to see them you had to see them in the UK, Rev Pro or Progress or whatever was, you know what I mean? That's wherever they were, you know, being booked at those times. For this to be the first time to see Will Ospreay, that crowd, American television, put on a heck of a match, of course, but it's just like,
I say this because at 14 years old, I remember watching Invasion, feeling like, ugh,
yeah,
like that was the first. So that was the first pay-per-view we ordered since WrestleMania 11, because, you know, went through a period, no pay-per-views or whatever, because the Can't Spirits was in town, so we couldn't get WrestleMania 12, and then by that next year we didn't, or the year after, we didn't have cable no more, so we get it back. We get DirecTV in 2001, July. I was like, can I get Invasion? Like, I can watch wrestling pay-per-views now. Right. And I remember watching it like, ugh, I only enjoyed like 2 or 3 matches. I might watch it coming up just to see it. But I didn't feel like that with Forbidden Door. You know, I've seen probably the last 3 AEW pay-per-views. But I will say the best part about this one, that it wasn't long. That was the best part. Like, I couldn't even believe it was over before 12 o'clock midnight. And that made me happy.
One more match I want to highlight that I forgot to mention was the Young Bucks and El Phantasma, the El Phantasma or El Phantasma, versus Sting and Darby Allin and
Sting's entrance was cool.
Sting. I'm gonna tell you right now, Sting. Who was the other guy in the dang on match? I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, let me see.
But Sting can do no wrong at 63 years old. First of all, I was like a kid. Like I don't like to see old man Sting with like the long sleeve shirt and the chest pad and stuff underneath, trying to protect his neck. I'm like, Sting,
Right.
you've been in the gym, man. Let the guns out. Be old Sting. And it's because that he can. You know what I mean? Like
Shingo. El Phantasmo with the Young Bucks and Shingo Takagi with Sting and Darby Allin. Dudes with attitudes.
Yeah. I was man, Sting can do no wrong. Okay, nobody at 63, he's still Sting. He can do no wrong. And the Young Bucks, Young Bucks still probably the best tag team in the world right now. Like, who's better than Young Bucks? And they came out old school Young Bucks style.
Yeah.
They came out with some New Japan gear on. I said, okay, now we getting New Japan Young Bucks. Like, it took me back to 2015 or 16 or so. And I was like, man, this is what, you know what I mean? What we've been
They get it.
They can do no wrong.
They get it.
They always got it, yeah.
Love the Young Bucks, love Sting, and I was like, I had fun that match too. Everything else was was fine, but I know those 3 matches was kind of what, you know. I was like, okay, I got something out of it. Like, it wasn't the greatest thing. Fatal 4-Way was everything for me though. I wish I was like, man, what if Pete Dunne was in this? I keep running. I'm telling you, I'm like, man, how great if Pete Dunne was in this match? He's up there being Butch with the, you know, just all this other stuff. I'm just like, man, I was like, man, he should have. I say, man, he should have never signed. I was so flustered. I said, come on, man. I said he should. I remember like right before he got called up before that last NXT takeover. I remember they said, oh, he signed an extension. He signed an extension, and Adam Cole didn't. And I was just like, even when he was in 2.0, I was like, man, he doesn't even fit in over there. Like, he's too good.
Didn't.
Like,
he didn't at all.
him and Tommaso Ciampa don't even belong over there.
Right.
But Tommaso Ciampa might be another one. I'm like, man, he might need to go too.
I was about to say, yeah, he would probably do some damage over there, right?
Like, he can do so much in regards to the depth of a character. And they're just not even giving him a chance. That he's just a utility guy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are y'all wasting him right now?
He's a mini Randy Orton.
He really is though. Like, that's the best.
He is.
Bro, that's his promos, his sadistic behavior and mental. I was like, dude,
he was the hottest heel. Was that 17, 18?
Why do you like
go back that lady ready to beat him up?
Go watch his stuff. Like, you want to let's see what he can do or not. Like, what do you mean? Randy Orton's injured right now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't got to worry about infringing. Like, he's another. It makes sense. I'm like, you know what? Johnny Gargano made the right decision. I'm like, you know what? Kyle O'Reilly made the right decision. Of course, they released Bobby Fish, his older guy, but you know, but so was
man.
David Priest.
Certain person came back. Seemed like just went backwards. Go back to podcasting.
I don't know, man. Like I said, even I don't even blame him. I blame Tony Khan because he, like I said, like they to me, Vince and them relaxed. They're like, okay, Triple H convinced them, like, yo, we can turn these guys into stars. And they weren't changing a whole lot of stuff, like with the exception of like the War Raiders became the Viking Raiders, you know what I mean? Because of they didn't want to promote war. Okay. First, they couldn't be War Machine. Obviously, that's a Marvel trademark. They the War Machine on it. They were one of my favorite tag teams at Ring of Honor. Showed up at NXT. They showed up at NXT the first night as War Machine. Became the War Raiders. They get called up. They were the Viking Experience. Everybody's like, no, that's stupid. And they were like, okay. They came back at least as the Viking Raiders. They were still kind of and they're like lost in the shuffle right now. Like they're gimmick tag team, and you know, it's just like, I don't know, man. I appreciate what AEW is, but like all those NXT guys just didn't. A lot of the main event players just haven't kind of crossed over, and it's because the era of the indie superstars just about done in WWE. Like it's going back to the old school. Like, you have to carry your own weight. Like a Kevin Owens carried his own weight. CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, they carry their own weight. Sami Zayn, they carry their own weight. Like it's not good enough to be an indie superstar anymore. You gotta be like total package now. And I don't think it's wrong for WWE to demand that, because look at the level of all those guys who I just named it and where they're performing at now. You don't remember nothing about their indie runs. You don't remember anything about Tyler Black, Seth Rollins. You don't remember anything about Kevin Steen. You don't remember anything about El Generico. You really don't remember anything about Sami Zayn in NXT. You know what I mean? Like that's how far he has come when it comes to even his character. You know, you don't remember Daniel Bryan as the same Daniel Bryan on independent scene. Same thing with CM Punk. You don't remember him on the same level as what he did in independent scene. He transcended where he was. That's growth. That's development. That's evolution. It's just not. It can't just be, well, I was an independent superstar. That's not always the case, because in everybody, Drew's another one. You know what I mean? Who you were out there, they're demanding that you be more than that. We're not just going to give you a push because you were. And that's kind of what NXT did, because they were on such a smaller level. They could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, fans are familiar with that. Let them show up in NXT. NXT kind of worked as WWE's kind of independent with WWE sauce, you know, sprinkled all in it. But you can't, like, that's over now, because with all these companies, with AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, even the smaller companies like MLW, they're signing you to contracts now. They're paying you, so they want complete obligation to you. And now it's like, well, who's going to be out there long enough for you to even become an independent superstar?
Yeah,
the guys who became independent superstars were rejects. Guys that said, well, they'll never want guys like us, and they found a way to make themselves relative to the fans. They've been out there for a minute. They have loyal followings, and it worked. And both companies now capitalizing on all of it. Like I didn't know who Johnny Gargano was like that, because I wasn't a pro wrestling guerrilla guy. That's a West Coast thing. Like I was not, like, I knew of it. I wasn't familiar with who he was before he got to NXT. Now the whole world knows who Johnny Gargano is. Johnny Gargano's can make appearances as he wants to. He can make his own action figures, which he is doing. He's doing all these things that he doesn't need WWE for, because he made a name for himself. And that's exactly what Vince and them don't want. It's like, well, we like making a name for these guys, and they go take the money elsewhere, and who knows where he shows up next. Why wouldn't he show up in AEW at this point?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. All those early, the late generation NXT superstars all belong in AEW. They're gonna be booked better there. It's just gonna fit better there, and I think they would have helped this pay-per-view, like Pete Dunne.
That's the title of the show. Pete Dunne was missing from the 4-way.
I mean, think about it. If you have, if I tell you right now,
where was Butch?
Right, exactly. cut 5 AEW people right now, and add 5 people from WWE that's not being used, or they may be used, over in AEW. You tell me how much better they would be right now. I could do it easily.
Okay,
you got to make room for 5 contracts. Cut 5 AEW people. And add 5 WWE people to AEW right now in place of those guys, and tell me what roster you and who you add to the right. And you tell me if you're not watching that show.
Man, I'm trying to think. You ain't purpose for this one, you know.
Nah, see, this is what we do. You can. I'll make it easy for you. You can really get rid of. You can get rid of. Let me see. Say you can go old guys, you can go young guys. Either one. Say you get rid of the best friends.
Okay.
Say you get rid of.
I was gonna say Lance Archer.
No, you want to keep Lance Archer because he was a pillar.
Pillar of what?
Of AEW. Like, he was supposed to be a guy. They just didn't capitalize on it. Like, he was supposed to be like their big monster. He was the Murder Hawk. He was the Japanese. Like, what happened to Tensai in WWE is what happened to Lance Archer in AEW. He was brought in to be this Japanese killer. Like this, we all know where he's from. He killed in Japan for all these years. Now he's finally in the States, and they pushed him, and then it fizzles. Now it's almost like, not a joke, but it's just like it doesn't have the same feel to it, because now you lose momentum.
Yeah,
you can cut Sean Spears
easily.
Oh, dang, I forgot about him. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Say you cut I'm
cutting Pillman Jr. You
can cut Pillman Jr. That's 2. You can cut say you cut like QT Marshall, and like no longer a ring competitor, right? That's 3. You can say you cut.
Well, you already said the best friends.
Let's say we just cut Trent Beretta. He's an older guy.
Okay.
That's 4. We'll leave his guy. We'll leave his tag part. Matter of fact, we'll cut Chucky T too. That's 5.
Yep.
Right. You add Pete Dunne.
Mm-hmm.
You add Tommaso Ciampa.
Yep.
You add Johnny Gargano. Right.
Yeah.
You add you can add Ricochet.
I was about to say Ricochet, yeah.
And Cedric.
And you can add, I would even add Cedric Alexander. I would add
Shelton.
you could I would add Shelton.
He's
But for
older.
the sake of the 5, I would add Walter.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like no Gunther. Like he was Gunther. He doesn't like it. I'm not going with it. I'm going to go back to being who I was, Walter.
Mm-hmm.
Those 5 guys on AEW's roster right now, with what they have already, including their young talent, even the guys we may not like the Powerhouse Hobbs and the Luchasaurus and the junk, like guys that we may not, Ricky Starks and Sammy G. People may not be huge fans of, but their names. All credit to what credit is due. They're all like established names of professional wrestling due to AEW. You know what I mean? And you add Johnny Gargano, you add Pete Dunne, you add Tommaso Ciampa, you add who do we say? Walter.
Johnny Gargano. Oh yeah, Walter.
And then Ricochet.
Yep.
Come on now.
What about throwing like a Shinsuke in the mix? Go back in those old nostalgia matchups.
Shinsuke is almost too big for AEW. I would send Shinsuke. I would send Finn back to New Japan. Imagine just those 2 by themselves would do for New Japan as far as matchups. Because you get brand new matchups for Jay White. You get brand new matchups for Kazuchika Okada. You get brand new matchups for a lot of the other new guys that they're trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Kushida. Kushida, he was a huge New Japan guy. He was one of the guys we saw every week in Ring of Honor because he was one of the guys that had excursions. He was Ring of Honor TV champion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was on, remember, like every Sunday he was on TV. Like you want to see a Kushida match. That's how I became a fan of him. He comes, goes to New Japan, does everything in New Japan, decides he wants to give the States a try, shows up in NXT, has an okay run, very lackluster, leaves, signs a huge contract to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they announce, oh yeah, he'll be finishing his career in New Japan. That's how big his contract probably is.
Yeah.
Because now the rates go up. You're a former WWE guy.
Right.
But technically that makes you a global superstar. So guess what you can charge? Global superstar rates. And you were already over in Japan. Now you're back. Like everybody knows that you've been in WWE. You can pick up right where you left off and be an even bigger star than you were before. And you're back home at the end of the day. Like, come on now. Shinsuke, same thing. You can go back home and be huge.
Finish it up.
Like, first of all, he's already huge. He's already a global icon. He already surpassed Tanahashi in popularity because his time in WWE. He's a global superstar.
Yeah, true.
Like, and at one point, he was number 2 to Tanahashi. He was the Randy Orton. They were like same level, but it was always one over him. Like John Cena and Randy Orton are like top guys, but we know like Randy Orton, Cena always had the top. He was slightly over Orton. That's how Tanahashi and Shinsuke were. Both top guys. They were carrying the company. Both of them. They were bringing on a new young boy and Okada, but it was always Tanahashi. Shinsuke surpassed Tanahashi because everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like those are the things. Those are the things that I sit back and think about when it comes to me saying, hey, as a wrestling fan, what could I put together when it comes to all these type of things? If I don't like something, how would I make it better? Like, I'm not a complainer, so I don't go on the internet and say, oh, this is dumb. I just don't watch it at the end of the day.
See, if you was a gamer, the stuff you would stream, it would be fun to watch.
I mean, I'm pretty entertaining. I like to think so myself, but eventually, one day.
I'm saying like if you were sitting there playing the game and you streaming, like putting these dream matches and these dream scenarios, it's so much easier to create. Like I got AEW Dynamite on 2K22, just the arena stuff, But,
I think AEW has so much potential. Everybody knows Forbidden Door wasn't what it was intended to be because of So many plaguing injuries, but
Mm-hmm.
man, I just think about a lot of the guys in WWE that are, to me, in my mind, being misutilized. It's like, well, I'm a fan of this person because of the product you gave me, and now you've put them in a different light. It doesn't make sense. Even a Dolph Ziggler, you know what I mean, could have a fresh run in AEW.
Ooh, he could take that.
Yeah, and then he could be as much of a Shawn Michaels as he wanted to. He wouldn't have to hide it. You know what I mean? He does it. But the Shelton Benjamins, the Dolph Zigglers, the utility guys, the Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode's another one. Like, come on now. What if Bobby Roode came through the forbidden door? What if Bobby Roode showed up in AEW? Older guy, 40 something years old. You know what I mean? Just a vet, established name, established brand.
Right.
Like, so say you don't put Pete. I would put Pete Dunne because he's younger. Everybody in that match is kind of younger. You know what I mean? I think Bobby Roode overshadowed, but it's like, what if Bobby Roode was in that match instead? What if Bobby Roode matched up with Tanahashi or something? Like, not that he would be that big of a star, or like.
We're just talking about the matchups, though, in general.
What if it was Dolph Ziggler and Zack Sabre Jr.?
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Like,
that sounds like fire right there.
We saw what Cesaro did, but like I said, they wrestle two different styles. One is a more technical, hard hitting style. One, Zack Sabre Jr. still works like a cruiserweight. See, Will Ospreay put the weight on and said, "I'm no longer be doing cruiserweight matches.
Right?
I'll no longer be the best of the Super Juniors. Like, I'm putting he bulked on the weight, and Will Ospreay is like desperate for a match against Seth Rollins. That's why he called him out. I know he did. I was like, yep, he wants a piece of Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins is that dude. Will Ospreay needs, you need antagonists like that. You need those matchups. FTR, you know what I mean? They're, struggling. It's like, I feel bad for tag teams, especially because they want to be featured, but all the best tag teams are not in the same arena anymore.
Yeah.
And if they were, we know tag team wrestling is not financially what they expected to be as far as mainstream money is concerned. So they wouldn't even, the matchups would fizzle anyway. So you got the OG Good Brothers and them boys, the Briscoes and Impact. You got the Usos in WWE, and who's another top tag team in wrestling right now? You can give credit to the Street Profits. May not be the big Street Profits fan, but they're an established tag team. Yeah, established tag team in WWE. Of course, you got the Young Bucks. You got FTR.
The New Day in WWE.
You got the New Day. How could I forget the New Day? Like, that stops everything. The New Day and the Usos, we really could stop there. We don't even have to mention anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And then you got the Young Bucks and FTR and AEW. You know what I mean? New Japan. New Japan still has a lot of makeshift tag teams right now, from what I'm seeing. Like Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale from the Bullet Club. You know what I mean? But stuff like that, man. It's just, I don't know. That's what I think about. I know it's I know we're trying to wind this down. I know we talked a lot about the Forbidden Door and stuff like that, but it's good to have these type of conversations.
Yeah, man. This is what it says. Our show. We ain't gotta go through the whole card, but any predictions for Money in the Bank?
I'm not a fan of the Money in the Bank match. Is it obvious to me that Seth Rollins was going to win? I said, when I saw who was there, I said, like, just give it to Seth Rollins. Like, just hand him the briefcase.
I've been seeing people. Only other person that people think in these streets is Riddle.
Riddle is one,
yeah.
But realistically, where do you go with Riddle?
That's the thing.
Is he the one that really avenges Randy Orton and dethrones?
No.
Like I get he's supposed to be the next push guy, but is he really the one you want to say, okay, he's the next guy we're pushing because it's like really?
Yeah, I think it's I'm picking Seth. That's who I want to see win it. My question is, when you cash in and that contract, is it for both belts or just one?
They're being ambiguous because they're not referring to those belts as separate titles anymore.
Right.
Like, they don't say he could cash in for you. They're saying cash in for the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. Undisputed. They say undisputed too. So I'm like,
yeah.
And I think they do that just trying to reserve the right to say, hey, if we got to switch this up, we can.
Yeah.
Because as long as you keep it ambiguous, you don't have to explain yourself. You like, okay, we can do either one. Or if we get to a space where we decide, okay, let's switch it up, we can say, okay, well, you can easily write into, well, I'll give it one title, I'm not giving them both. But as of right now, they only refer to them as one title.
Yeah.
So
And then
I'm
we
like,
can still sell both belts. So you're making more money.
I think they're just
That
trying
is
to wait
true.
to figure out what happens next with all the injuries, waiting to see where Cody's progress is. Cody already mentioned, like, hey, the doctor said 9 months, but that's not my plan. I'm like, oh, shucks now.
Yeah, my man out there doing documentaries, and like you said, they documenting everything.
I expect to see him in probably 6 or less.
I was about to say, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
just wait for the Rumble.
That will be in 6 months, isn't it? 6 or 7, January.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, you're right.
Yeah. That is it.
Yeah. But yeah, so the women's Money in the Bank, I'm looking. That's one I'm like,
You know who's gonna win that match?
who?
Becky.
Thank you. I was about to call her Rebecca.
Y'all think they're gonna put them on both people who on the poster? Becky and Seth are on the poster.
Why not?
Or you think Bailey's coming back?
My pick is Liv Morgan. I feel like this is it for her.
I'm good. I'm off. I'm good.
I feel like
Let me say, who's champion right now?
Bianca and Ronda.
The other lady.
Ronda's got to
It's
deal with
Becky.
Ronda's got to deal with Natalia. But come on now, this is Becky Lynch has to have her redemption. Think about it, storyline wise. Let's dig deeper. This is what the Wrestling Room does.
That's what we do, brother.
What wrinkle could you always use to complicate any situation with anybody either chasing the title or anybody wearing the title? And you look at all the women in that match. Who do you think legitimately gives you the X factor to say, hey, this is what we can do one way or another? It's Rebecca.
She had to fight to get in it.
Think about it. This is her. It'll be her redemption story. Like, who had a redemption story recently where it's like they just kept losing, it was like they just kept losing and kept losing. Well, it was Corbin. Baron Corbin had this string of bad luck, and then one story kind of elevates one character from one space to a different character in another space, right? Becky Lynch has been on a crazy losing streak. She's been being put in 24/7 championship matches, and she has been vocal like, "Oh yeah, you guys are disrespecting me now because you guys just wanted to get me back because I've made you pay for me being great." So now she's like, "Okay, what's the best way to keep me relevant? Because you never know when it'll be her time." And if you want to go Bianca and Becky Lynch again, you can do that.
Doing that, bro. I think she's definitely doing Ronda again, bro.
Well, see, you can it depends. Wait, so where's Seth at?
Raw. Oh nah, see, yeah.
Oh yeah, they don't split up the couples.
But then if you go by the scenario that you presented last week, then you possibly have them both on SmackDown.
That's also true because usually the champion does both shows.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it complicates things, but I think that's what keeps us guessing as fans, and that's the fun of the speculation. So my pick is going to be Rebecca. Keep calling Rebecca.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna go with Liv Morgan. That's why I've committed to.
She's so dry.
She's a fan favorite though. Like I don't know. Like
I don't see why.
She's like
dry.
But she's like the ultimate underdog story. Like I really believe they really cut Ruby Riott to make room for her.
Yeah, and that's why I think that she wins it and holds on to the briefcase for a while.
I'm done.
I think one of them, somebody's holding it for a while. I don't think I think Rollins. I think if he wins, he cashing in again. At SummerSlam, I think Liv holds on to a while. I just don't want to see Lacey Evans. I don't want to see, and I don't want to see Asuka win it again. I don't want to see Alexa Bliss win it again.
Do you see a scenario with one of the women may cash in and lose? Because we don't see that too often.
Becky.
I know.
She's the only one who could, or Asuka could. They could.
See, yeah, that's a good one too.
They could deal, like they could handle it. Like Corbin Corbin, what's his name? I'm about to call him Aaron.
Baron Corbin.
No, I was about to call him Aaron Stevens. Him.
Oh, okay.
I can't think his name right.
Damien
shoot.
Sandow.
Like
Yeah.
they never recovered when they lost.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't know. I don't know if that's
And
if
a
that's
woman
like,
hasn't lost, if I'm not mistaken.
no, it's still a fresh concept at the end of the day.
Yeah, so this could be the year if you're gonna do it.
I don't know. I guess it just depends. Okay, so who's next for Bianca? Because like I said, you got Rhea
Well,
Ripley,
Rhea was supposed to be there.
Yeah,
but
she got
but
hurt.
she's got the serious injury for like.
Oh, okay.
I'll say an injury that shouldn't be played with. I'll say I don't want to speculate and say it's a serious injury. But
What's the injury?
Isn't it? I
somebody brain like a brain
was about to
injury.
say I
Oh,
thought it was
yeah.
a brain injury. Yeah.
And I was like,
Okay.
okay, you can't. That ain't
So
something
you
you
don't
just cut
even
up and
book.
fix.
You don't book a story for her. Like
I don't see her even returning to the ring anytime soon until that can be literally cleared up in whatever way it needs to be cleared up.
Mhm.
Because that's kind of scary. Like you don't play with the brain.
No.
But there's always these wrinkles once again, and Becky Lynch is a wrinkle. Asuka is a wrinkle, but it's like, okay, so who are they building next to be the next one? You know, Sasha could come back. You know what I mean? I know they said she's released and all that kind of stuff, and they're trying to figure it out, but she might
And
pull
they
Snoop
said
Dogg move.
she appeared back on the roster. Her and Naomi's names
Right,
appeared on
right,
the
I
roster.
did.
But they said, well, I thought they said that they never left, like they never took them down.
No, they took their merch down.
I know
So
they
I
took
don't
the
know.
merch and stuff down, but I remember
Yeah.
like their names are like, their names are still on the active roster. Like maybe because they just haven't made the announcement that they've been released,
Yeah.
or it's all speculation. But somebody said there's legal documents that filed for it, but like that's that's information we don't have as fans. So but you can never trust Sasha Banks. You can't trust Chris Jericho. You can't trust Kevin Nash. You can't trust people that are willing to protect the business. So who knows? Knowing her, she can say, okay, we're here. Let's use it for a storyline, or I'm out. She's got that kind of stroke.
Yeah.
That is true.
She did it last time when she left the first time, and she left, and she got was it a Chronicle?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she was like, I saw all that stuff. I saw the tweets. I saw what people said. I saw people thought I got released and all this other things, and all this stuff wasn't true. Like everything that we read that seemed credible wasn't true. You know what I mean? So there's always a chance that you never know. And like I said, you can never trust the wrestlers that are willing to protect the business.
My fault. I just forgot about Charlotte too. Well, she's coming back a little bit later. Yeah.
Yep. Charlotte's still out there. Yeah. That's another like these are what I call the wrinkles. Like I said, these is like these are these unknowns, these X factors that you don't consider. I'm watching Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship inside of Hell in a Cell.
I just finished Clash of the Champions.
Underrated masterpiece. I'm watching the best of Kevin Owens. Seth Rollins best of Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens big money matches or whatever.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorites.
Is it too early for Raquel?
Yeah, nobody once again. I think she's another NXT girl that's going to end up getting cooled off because like where do you go?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I know they're going to build her, but I think they'll do a slow build.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the match I'm most interested in, for some reason, is Ronda and Natalia. Natty been putting on interesting stories, and I'm like, yo, she got me invested.
Natalia is
she's
a
awesome.
vet. Yeah. And I think they have amazing chemistry together. Like she knows, like you got to put once it goes back to what I said, you got to put competitors in the ring that can like one's got to bring balance to the other.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Natalia's style and Ronda's style, I think Natalia can slow Ronda down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you put Ronda in a match with Asuka, that may be more violent than anything because I can see more strikes kind of going down rather than anything, you know.
why
versus
you laughing,
no, because it's true.
You know what I mean? Like they're gonna walk away with a couple of bruises and scratches on their face versus Natalia is going to wrestle. And she's going to, like I said, she's gonna like Ronda Rousey looks shaky in the ring when she rushes, when she's spot after spot after spot, versus Natalia is slow, she's technical, she's calculated, like her freaking husband is TJ Wilson. You know what I mean? So it's like how she operates is it's like this might be what she needs to kind of, bring it together. But I don't know. Like I say, we'll see. But I'm always a huge Natalya fan at the end of the day. So
yeah. Well, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
great show, buddies. Great show. Bullet Club is back in business. Hold on, let me move before we go
One more
away.
time.
Move
One
my-
more
move
time.
my
One
mic
more
away.
time. There it is. There it is. Right
You
there.
know, this we're gonna do. He gonna go full screen. There you go. Let him have his moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Had to make the stank face. Had to move the mic out of the way right quick.
That's why we had to get you. We had to give you full screen. We had to.
You had to. Yep.
Yeah, but all right, gentlemen. I appreciate y'all as always.
Mm-hmm.
What a day. Make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all rocking with us, especially the ones that was on watching live. Y'all rock with us the whole time, or you came in late and you still here. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed this great wrestling conversation, because we definitely enjoyed having it. And watching Dwayne really put together a fantasy book. I was like, yeah, makes sense. I like it.
That's what I like to do, man. That's what makes it fun for me. Like, man, what about this? What about that? What about this? But,
I mean, that's why you bring it to the show. I appreciate that. But yeah, make sure you follow us at Wrestling Wrealm on all social media platforms, at Brian H. Waters, at Dwayne Allen 24, at TRDA Brand if you're on Instagram, at Has the Third, and
No, you didn't say it right, man. You gotta say it the correct way.
Go ahead.
HAS to the THE to the 3RD.
That's what we're doing now.
Yes,
oh,
we're doing.
okay. I like it. I like it. All right, got a little Jeff Jarrett flair to it. That was smooth.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cross promote.
To the THE
To the 3RD.
3RD. Oh,
3.
That's tough.
But yeah, I'm gonna cross promote real quick. Make sure next week y'all check out Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings. We're featuring none other than Brother Hugh. Learn more about him.
That's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah, Brother Hugh on Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings, the same place you can get all your podcast platform and all that good stuff. But yeah, we about to be out. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Patreon. Hop on there. Low as $1 per month. We appreciate all the subscribers we have. Till the next time, folks. Too sweet.
Brian Waters.